Welcome back to Trilogy Trials. This week is the final week, and this week we're going to be looking at the Friday the 13th series, which consists of 12 movies. I have 11 of them. The one I don't have is the 2009 remake, which I am including in this list. So we have this, which is the 8-movie collection, which is parts 1 through 8. This, which is part 9 and 10. And Freddy vs. Jason. We're going to start by just ranking the movies as they are as a movie, and then at the end we're going to rank them on how the different Jasons look actually in the movies. To make this a little more fluid, I'm just going to talk about them as I have them ranked. We're going to start from the bottom, work our way up to my favorite, and we'll talk about them like that. One of my friends that actually watches these videos said that I've been giving away too many spoilers for the movie, so I won't try to ruin too much. So, for our first movie in the 12th spot, we have Freddy vs. Jason. I don't care for this movie too much. It was very hyped up, and it's okay. I feel like it was way too hyped up, and it was okay, alright? There was good fight scenes, but the rest of the movie was not very good. In our 11th spot is Jason Goes to Hell, which is this one. This movie just had a really weird storyline where it was like the Jason, this like weird worm looking thing, could like put itself in anyone's body and that would be Jason, and he had to like kill his like blood relative or whatever, so he was like hunting down this literal child the entire movie. So I don't know, it's just a really weird movie. Alright, our 10th spot is the 2009 remake. I don't have this one, I've only seen it once, and it's okay. We're starting to get into actually decent movies now. Those two are just kind of eh. Remake is, not to put it this low on the list, but I just think there is better ones. The movie itself does a very good job actually being scary. No movie was safe from a remake in the late 2000s, and Friday the 13th was one of them. Next we have, in the 9th spot, Jason X. Jason X is a very, very good movie to watch as like a group of people who haven't seen this before. Like I think I've watched this movie actually a few times with my buddies whenever they come over. When we want to watch a scary movie, we're like, alright, well, let's watch Jason X because, you know, it's good. It's a good movie. And it's, you know, it's easy for, you know, an average, you know, movie watcher to watch. You know, you don't need that much story background. They explain it pretty well actually during the movie, and it takes place in space in the future. So alright, our number 8 spot is part 1, the original Friday the 13th movie. I probably won't hold up the discs like that every time because these have a tendency to fall out of the case. But part 1. Part 1 is, it got the series started. You know, it wasn't a smash hit, but it was enough for them to make a second one and a third one, and so on. There actually isn't, Jason doesn't appear in this movie as like the big hockey mask killer. He only appears as like the child form of himself almost, because the whole story is that Jason fell in the lake and drowned and they never found his body or whatever. So he appears a little bit in the movie, but not much. This is just, you'd have to watch it to understand. Try not to ruin it. Our number 7 spot is part 7. So 7 and 7, which is New Blood. New Blood is also a very weird movie, as they kind of moved on, you know, later in the series. They were they were trying a lot of things. And this one is about don't remember the main girl's name, but she has like telekinesis powers and all this other stuff, and something with her dead dad. It's a very weird movie again. I've only seen this movie once as well, but there were lots of stunts and actual like good fighting scenes in this movie. So it's all right. We're getting up there. Okay, number 6 is Part 5, A New Beginning. Don't want to ruin this one as well, but in Part 4, it's called Final Chapter because that was actually meant to be the last Friday the 13th movie, but it did so well, they made another one, but they didn't want to keep Jason in it because they had already like killed him off in the fourth one. That's why it's called the Final Chapter. So the fifth one is called New Beginning, which sees someone else taking the role, and another very strange movie, but it does okay. I think they actually did a good job incorporating somebody else as taking the role of Jason Voorhees. All right, number 5 spot is Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. This is, we're actually getting into good movies now. Jason Takes Manhattan, very simple. The name says it all. This movie takes place in Manhattan, and Jason hunts around this group of kids that were on a cruise or something after he gets brought back to life by like some wire that got like electrocuted him when he was at the bottom of the lake. So he comes back. Yeah, there's lots of, big scenes. There's like him standing in Times Square, and he scares away this group of like biker guys by just lifting up his mask, and they see his face. It's a very good movie, but not enough to be number 1 or in the top 3 at least. But it's a good movie. It's worth the watch. All right, in the 4th spot, we have Part 2. This is where we actually see Jason as an adult hunting down camp counselors. And that's about all there is to say about this movie. It's very basic. Nothing much else to say. There's a couple good, memorable spots in it, and this one's also worth the watch. Our 3rd spot, we have Part 3. Part 3 is where we actually see Jason for the first time get a hockey mask. It is like signature hockey mask. This movie was tout as being 3D, and 3D back then meant actual like into the camera, like going like this with items. There was multiple scenes where I think there was one where the guy was doing like a yo-yo at the screen, or this guy pulled out like an eye or something and like shoved it in the camera's face, or there was a snake that jumped at the camera. It's very cheesy, but it's a good movie. I'd say this is, it's in the top 3, so it is one of my personal favorites. Now the top 2, depending on how I'm feeling, I will switch them around, but today I'm feeling in second place we have Part 4, the final chapter. This one is after Part 3. He disappears and he comes back in Part 4, and it has Tommy Jarvis, which becomes a very prominent character in the series. But this is him as a kid, and it's a very good movie. Tommy Jarvis returns in 2 other films, but in the first one he's played by Corey Feldman, but in the other 2 he's played by different actors. But the most notable ones are when he's a child here in 4, and for our number 1 spot in Part 6, Jason Lives. So this takes place, I don't know how long after Part 4, because Part 4 is him as a child, Part 5 is him as like a teen, and he's having like PTSD or whatever about Jason, and Part 6 is him as, I'd say like an adult, like maybe late 20s, 30s, and he wants to make sure Jason's dead, so he digs him up and he starts stabbing him, whatever, and he gets like electrocuted because he's stabbing him with a metal pole, and he gets brought back to life. That's why it's called Jason Lives. And the rest of the movie is Tommy trying to hunt him down and finally put him back in the ground where he got him from, where he brought him back to life. Okay, now we finished talking about the movies themselves. We can talk about how the Jasons actually look, their appearance in the movies, and we'll rank them. So starting at the bottom, 12th place, we have part 1. Like I said, it's not really Jason, it's just kind of him as like a zombie child. 11th place is part 2. In this movie, he's like wearing overalls and like a sack on his head with just like one eye cut out, and he has a pickaxe as his weapon, which is okay, but it's just kind of bland. They didn't, like I said, the third movie is where they got his signature hockey mask, and that took off. 10th place is part 5. This is New Beginning. I actually like this one. In this movie, they, instead of the red chevrons here, and on his forehead, it was 2 large blue ones. I'll put it up on screen. And I actually like this mask, and he has just normal overalls, like a mechanic overall thing, and he has hedge clippers as his weapon. 9th place is part 6. He has lots of like little like items on him, if you say. He has like yellow gloves, and he uses that spear that Tommy killed him with as his main weapon, but he also has like throwing things. I don't know. But he has like a tool belt almost. Otherwise, he's just wearing a normal coat and boots. 8th place, we have part 4. And then 7th place, we have part 3. I'm putting these two very close together just because they're very similar. It's like a dark greenish blue button up, and then just like pants, and then the hockey mask. Very basic, so nothing special. 6th place, we have part 8, which is Jason Takes Manhattan. It almost looks like he's wearing like leather, because I don't know, because he's always wet, so it's always like shiny. But I'm not sure. But he's very gruesome looking because he's been sitting at the bottom of the lake before he got brought back to life. So he's just always wet in this movie. He looks wet. 5th place, we have Freddy vs. Jason. He's very gnarly looking in this movie, and throughout the movie he has like Freddy claw marks across his mask, which looks really cool. 4th place, we have the remake. The remake, he also looks very scary. The mask is all messy, and he's wearing a lot of clothing. He's wearing like a jacket and a whole bunch of other stuff that makes him look really big and intimidating. And I think at one point he does actually put on like a sack on his head, like part 2. 3rd place, we have Jason X. Not talking about in Jason X. They have him on like the spaceship as like his original, and he's all like dead and gruesome. But that's okay. But he actually becomes Uber Jason at some point. They like give him all these mechanical upgrades, and he looks super cool in that. And he gets like this weird like, it's kind of like a machete, but it's like curved and it has like serrated on it. 2nd place, we have part 7. He's all like skeleton looking. Like at one point you can see like a rib cage, and like half of his face is gone. You can see his teeth. He just looks super gnarly in this. He's wearing all tattered clothes, and he has like a chain around his neck. Super cool. And then in 1st place, we actually have the movie that I gave very low on the list, which is part 9, Jason Goes to Hell, which is this one right here. I'll put a picture on screen. You actually don't see this Jason very much during the movie. He's maybe got 10 minutes of actual screen time where it's showing him as Jason form. And I think that's a shame because he looks really cool. He's all, like his mask is all like burnt around. It's almost like melded into his face. And he's wearing like blue like coveralls, and they got holes in them and all this other stuff. And he just looks really cool. I love this Jason. I wish they would have given him more screen time, and I wish this movie would have been better because he looks so cool. That's all I got. That's ranking the Friday the 13th movies and the way they look. This is the final episode of Trilogy Trials, even though for the past few episodes we've gone a little past Trilogy. Thank you for watching, and I won't see you in the next one, but I'll see you in the next video.